Call Jenni Minto to be followed by Maurice Golden for up to 6 minutes, please, Ms Minto.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The Good Food Nation Bill is the first piece of legislation I have been involved in, and I would like to thank the committee clerks and my fellow committee members for all our hard work and dedication to this vitally important issue. We took evidence from organisations from Shetland to Argyll and Bute, from Zero Waste Scotland to the Scottish Food Coalition, evidence to support a bill which will take Scotland further along the road to becoming a good food nation by creating a national plan and requiring plans to be created by public bodies. As Jane Jones of Argyll and Bute Council said, we're already on that journey. We are not at the very beginning of it. We need to recognise the progress that we have already made, but the Good Food Nation agenda gives us the opportunity to do more. Food and cuisine are important to me. My culinary journey has been a bit of a winding road, turning down good Scottish puddings covered in custard at school to looking forward to them when at a freezing filming location. Only eating haddock smothered in ketchup as a child to enjoy fish of every variety as my top food choice. So personally, I am pleased that the Scottish Government has the vision of Scotland as a good food nation, where it is normal for Scots to love their food and know what constitutes good food. We took evidence from Robin Gourley, who helped develop Recipe for Success when he was at East Ayrshire. He said, if you look at the work of Scotland Food and Drink, other industry bodies, our colleagues working in health and those working in climate, you see that there is a consensus to do something better with food. Also, that those who serve and sell food, from schools to hospitals, retailers to restaurants, serve and sell the best. One of my own staff recalls with pleasure the lunches he and his friends enjoyed when Dunoon Grammar School upped its game and began to provide food that was both nutritious and delicious. He also reflects on how these meals were especially important to youngsters from disadvantaged backgrounds. And the Scottish Government invested £5 million in food education projects from 2010 to 2017. So here we see public policy actually improving the lives and health of vulnerable individuals, which is the next part of the vision for Scotland as a good food nation, that everyone in Scotland has easy access to the healthy and nutritious food they need. Food doesn't just feed the body, it enriches our lives in other ways. It is a way of bringing people together, from burned suppers to the food served at the Sikh Gurdwaras. For all too many children, home cooking is a ready meal served in front of the television. But serving, I won't actually, Rachel, Miss Hamilton. But serving attractive food in schools and other institutions will allow us to offer many more people the opportunity of eating together, of sharing food together, united by the joy of good food. By creating Good Food Nation plans, the connection between food and health will help reduce dietary-related diseases, but also support people with long-term conditions. 2 weeks ago, I visited the recently opened dialysis unit in Rothesay, Isle of Bute. I met a patient who receives dialysis 3 times a week. Until this unit opened, he had to travel to Inverclyde. He told me the difference of having his dialysis close to home. He had time to prepare his evening meal, ready for when he returned from his treatment, instead of a microwave meal. The food he was eating was healthier and he was happier. In our evidence, we got some stark figures from Ian Galland of Zero Waste Scotland about the environmental impact of food. An area larger than China is used to grow food that is never eaten. 1 billion hungry people in the world could be fed on less than a quarter of the food that is wasted in the UK, the US and Europe. And in hospitality and food services here in Scotland, the equivalent of 106 million meals are discarded every year. That is 1 out of every 6 meals. Ian Galland concluded by saying that Scottish households need support to end food waste and to recycle as much as possible. Wasting food is wasting water, energy and resources. The Good Food Nation Bill should be an enabler for this support. And finally, Scottish producers ensure what they produce is increasingly healthy and environmentally sound. And Professor Mary Brennan of the Scottish Food Coalition said, a good food nation produces food that does as little harm as possible to the environment. It produces and consumes food that is produced to the highest welfare and well-being standards. It looks after its natural resources, the animals, fish, watercourses and marine environments that are central to our existence. So shopping for tempting food can and should be an enjoyable exercise, but it becomes a misery if most of what you can see is too expensive and you and your loved ones must do without. And while minimum wage levels, the cost of heating homes and an increase in national insurance are subjects for different debates, today we can continue putting Scotland on a course that will make school meals, hospital meals and all food served by public bodies support the health and well-being of our nation. Serving the right food can also improve our communities and environment. Sourcing local ingredients sustainably supports local communities, cuts food miles and helps us on the road to net zero carbon emissions. And in this complex and turbulent time in world history, increasing food self-sufficiency makes strategic sense too. But to do this, we need to support Scottish producers in ways that enable them to provide quality ingredients at prices people can afford, and what producers we have. In my own constituency, Argyll and Bute, SMEs who are coffee roasters, tea growers, dairy, beef and lamb farmers, ice cream producers, vegan cheese makers and fish and shellfish fishers. And not forgetting folk with gardens and allotments growing their own fruit and veg. Presiding Officer, I will finish with a quote from Professor Michael Thackeray, UN Special Rapporteur on the right to food, who provided a video statement to the committee. COVID-19 has laid bare the inequalities and underlying issues in every country's food system. In this context, your Good Food Nations Bill is a timely and exemplary response to address deep-rooted challenges. I support the motion.
Thank you, Ms.